let me see, before we get going. So Jan, Fabian, can you still see can you still see the demo? Maybe just yes or no.
Yes, I can see everything.
Okay.
I just don't have a webcam to see me, so I don't have to brush my hair or anything.
Okay, well that's no requirement. Okay, is it 7 o'clock? It is. All right. Well, then I'm going to go ahead with the demo. I'll start with introducing myself. My name is Cindy Hambrick. And I really appreciate you all being in the class. I'm really excited about this. Is one of the most fun projects I feel like I've done. So I'm excited about it. And I do have a first name. It is Cindy. And I say that because my son, in his boredom during COVID, decided to make homemade candles. And he was making the actual cases that the candles come in. And so I asked him what he was going to do with all these gorgeous candles he was making them, and he said he wants to sell them in my booth. So, and all of that has absolutely nothing to do really with the whole story. So he puts in Pootie Bead and Sons on this thing. So his daughter, Keira, looks at that and she says, Pootie, how come your last name is Bead and Dada's last name is Hambrick? And I said, what? You think my name is Pootie Bead? And she says, yeah. I said, well, what's Pa's name? Jeff. And then I said, okay, your other grandparents, Nana and Bampy, what are their names? John and Kathy. I said, so what's my name? Pootie. So my grandkids have never heard anybody call me anything but Pootie. They think that's my name. So, but anyway. So my grandkids did name me that, so that's the name I'm going with. All right, so we'll get started with the lesson. I'll move and the first thing we're going to do is talk about the cheat sheets. So while all of this is done with a peyote stitch, I do all kinds of weird things. So instead of including a picture every time I do something weird, I just went ahead and put it all on one sheet. And you can keep the cheat sheets with you as you work on it. And so you have a diagram of all the different weird stitches, okay? And then the second page, page 3, there we go. These are all the different types of step-ups you'll do. So there's pictures, and it'll show you how to do all the different types of step-ups. So just keep those pages by you, and I hope that they'll be helpful. If I have an instruction where I don't have a picture of it, if you will let me know, then I will add that I will add that and post it on Shining Needle. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to learn how to make the lollipop stands. And when I named it Lollipop Stand, I really didn't think that I had named the other thing Stand too. So you got the stand that fits in the lollipop, and then the stand that the lollipops go in. Okay, so what did I do with all my samples? Oh, here they are. Okay, so on your instructions, you have the 2-inch diameter circle. So you can use this to draw your own circles, and just make sure you cut out on the inside of the black line, because you don't want that black showing through your lollipop. And so you just very carefully cut your 2 little circles. I cut them for you. I cut them out of photo paper so that one side would be glossy and the other side's kind of just plain. But you can use, when I first started doing them, the first one was actually just a cereal box that I cut the circle out of. So anything that's just a sturdy cardboard, a little bit sturdier than cardstock paper. And then you guys all got your straws. So what you want to do is start by smashing one end of your straw. You see how that's all smashed down. Let me see. Let's see how this This is all nice and round. Can you see? Yeah, there we go. Can you see that all okay? And then the other end is smashed. And I smashed probably about 1.5 inches. Okay. Then you just, move that out of the way. You get your glue. I put glue in everybody's kits because I know some of you have a hard time getting out and going shopping. Now what I used was just the Aleene's tacky glue. It works fine. And you can cut the little tip off of here if you want, but I just opened mine. I'm lazy. Put a little bit on my finger. And, okay, yep, that's the wrong side. Just rubbed it around. Do it on both circles. Then you put the smashed end in the middle, like that. It's very complicated work. And then put your other one, making sure you're, that the shiny sides are on the outside, not the inside. And then I have this very complicated little thing called a, what are these things called? Clothespin. Choop. And choop. Okay, so that's going to hold it together until it finishes drying. You can use a paper clip. You can use those fancy quilting clips. You can use a heavy book, anything, just something to kind of keep it together till the glue dries. And you want it to dry about ½ hour to an hour. Okay, we're going to set this off to the side and let it start drying. And then, oops, put our lid back on our glue. The next thing is the base. Now I went ahead and glued everybody's base together for them, but if you want to make more lollipops or more stands, you can make your own bases. They're easy. I gave you the washer size and the hex nut size. Just go to a hardware store and you can have the guys there help you if you can't find them yourself. And so all you're going to do is just get your glue. Now this one, you're going to need a stronger glue. And somewhere I have E6000 glue. Or not. Hold on. Let's see if I can get up. Okay. You want a sturdy glue. Here's some E6000. You can use super glue also, but I like E6000 because super glue, you put it on, if you don't get it in the right spot, it's stuck. E6000 is a little bit forgiving. So what you want to do is just put a bead of glue all the way around that inner circle. Just put it all right there. Don't get it on the outside because you don't need to have glue out and on this circumference, just on the inner one. And then you center your hex nut. You know, in the picture that doesn't look centered, but it is. Okay, so you're going to let that dry, but in about 5 to 10 minutes, you're going to come back and you're going to look at it because it's going to travel. It's going to travel. And if it does that, then you got to get your house re-leveled. Just kidding, you don't. You can push it right back into place like that and wait till it dries completely. This one needs about 2 to 3 hours to dry because you don't want, if you get it before then, it still has a tendency to move and you don't want it to move. You want it smack in the middle. You should have seen my assembly line of all these washers and all of these hex nuts all lined up, drying. And then I have to come and move them all back into place. Okay. Next on the list is, okay, I want to talk to you about color selection. I kind of mentioned it. If you want to make more in different colors, first of all, you can find straws at Hobby Lobby they put them out during all the holidays. So you can get straws at Hobby Lobby. I wait till after they go on sale, and then I go haunt all the Hobby Lobbies and buy them out. But you can get some really fun looking straws there. And now colors, I suggest you, if you're choosing colors, you go for the silver line beads, because I tried making them with just some opaque luster beads and they just didn't look as good. They just kind of fall flat and they don't have that sticky wet look like a lollipop would have. So kind of stick to the 201 bead and then the silver line beads for the main color, because you will be happier with how it will look in the end. Now, you'll also find that if you go with the light color, like I tried to make a lemon one, and that really didn't work because the lemon and the yellow one and the white bead, they were too close in colors and they just kind of melded together and it just ended up looking like a mess. So what you can do is take pour out a little pile of white beads. There you go. And then whatever color you're going to use, you're thinking would be good, pour it out next to it, and then just kind of squint or blur your eyes. And if the main color is going to be too light, it'll just meld into those colors and you won't be able to see a distinct difference. If it's going to be you want the main color to be distinct. You want to, when you blur your eyes, to still be able to see that color. So that's how you can kind of tell if it's going to work or not, and not waste your time making a whole lollipop and then going, ugh, I don't like that. All right, let me get these up. So that's color. And each lollipop takes, I think, about 17 grams of the main color to make. So take that into consideration also when you're purchasing the beads. You need, about 17 grams. Okay. Let me see where we are. Okay. I'm going to show you how to just lay in the beads. You've got to have very loose tension. You really do on this. Everything else, when you're making the stand, I say tight tension so that it will stand up nice and perky. Tight tension, usually I'm always saying you need tighter tension. You need tighter tension. Well, for this guy, the lollipop, you need as loose as you can get. I mean, really loose. Where are my instructions? Okay, so the instructions on the right side, it's going to say how many beads are in that row and of each color bead. Okay, it really helped me if I went ahead and counted out those beads and laid them out, because that way when you get to the end of the row or the round, you will know that you've done the round correctly. You won't have extra beads or not enough. If you end up with extra or not enough, you need to take them out and figure out where you went wrong. Now, since I mentioned taking out the beads, let me bring up that if you do make a mistake and you do need to take out beads, don't grab a bead and pull. Sometimes that's how I will take out beads. I'll just grab one and pull. Well, what that's going to do is it's going to pull on your string, and then you're going to, it's going to tighten that thread, and it will buckle. So we don't want any buckling. And I just noticed that forgot to take out all my beads on my sample. Hang on, I'm going to take these out because I'm going to re-put them in.
Did you want to tell people about your double thread?
Yes, I do. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how to just gently lay in. Let me see, I've laid out my 6 red beads and my 6 white beads. So the main color beads. And I am on step round 5. Okay, so I'm on round 5. And so it says 6 main and 6 white. So I've laid them out. And I'm going to show you guys how to just gently lay those beads in. And I'm using a double thread. That's because I'm also using size 6 seed beads so that you'll be able to see them. So don't use a double thread when you're working on yours. Only use a single thread. Okay, so round 6 says an MW, and because it's in blue and in quotes, I put them on the needle at the same time. Now I'm going to put that, and I'm just going to I already had those on there. Silly me. Let's back that up. All right. I'm going to just lay those beads in there. I just kind of didn't pull tight. I just laid those beads in there. Okay, they're just going to sit there nice and loose. Now the next one is an M. Go in here and just gently lay that one in there. Not pulling tight, just laying it in there. I had a girl that took one of my classes, and she said she would put that bead in there, and then she would stop and look and admire it. So that's a good idea to do. Just take your time and do it, and just stay very loose, and it'll stay very flat. And one of the things I also do while I'm beading is I pinch those beads so that if I tend to accidentally pull tight on the thread, because I've got them all pinched between my fingers, it won't let me pull them tight. It's holding those beads where they are. So that's another hint you can do to keep it loose. Okay, so you're going along and you can't seem to get a hold of the loose tension. You're trying to lay them in there, but it's starting to buckle a little bit on you. There's another trick you can do. And these really cool acrylic tubes, which by the way, you're going to use this when you do the stand to put the lollipops in, and it stays in your beadwork, and your lollipops will just go right down in there. These are wonderful. Jeff discovered these, so thank you for that. Okay, so what you can do is just wrap your beadwork around the acrylic tube. And because the arch is a greater distance, greater length than a straight line, it's going to force you to have space in there because it's a greater distance around that arch. So as you put the beads in, it's going to force you to be looser as you bead. And you can just kind of, maneuver it with your fingers as you bead along. It's really not hard to do. After a while, I got proficient at just kind of moving this while I bead it and just keep beading right along that little curvature. So that's a hint, a trick you can do to keep your beading loose. If you can't do it just by very gently laying those beads in there. But you do want them very loose so it'll be nice and flat. Now, when I was pattern testing it, one of the complaints was, well, you can see the holes in the threads. Yes, you can. But if you pull tight so that you can't see the holes in the thread anymore, then it's going to buckle. When you put that on your lollipop stand, that white is it's going to make all those holes and threads disappear nicely. And no one's going to be able to tell unless they get up very close and inspect, and then you pop them on the nose for that. So don't worry about if you've got holes or if you can see threads. All right. Next thing is, okay, round 30. So you're going to just continue on following the directions. I know some of the directions get really funky looking but just read them carefully, go slow, lay those beads in gently, and you will have success making it. Now we're going to move on to page 10. Okay, kind of failed to say in the directions that you have to make 2 of these things. There's got to be a front and a back. I referred to them on page 10, back side of the lollipop only and front side of the lollipop, but I kind of didn't say it at the beginning, which I should have. But you do have to make 2 of them. So on the back side of the lollipop, the only difference as you're going along is you're going to put in 5 gold beads down here. Now, mine are black because I wanted you to be able to see them in the demo, and the gold beads just kind of disappeared. So I made mine black. But those gold beads are going to be the marker beads. So when you do put this on your lollipop, that's where the straw is going to stick out of. So you're not going to close up that area. Okay, so you're going to okay, so you're going to finish well, I call it the back side first, and then you're going to finish off the thread. So to finish off the thread, what you want to do, don't zigzag your way through to finish off a thread, because if you zigzag, then those beads are going to go the direction the thread is going, and they're going to zigzag, and they're going to end up, you're not going to have that really pretty swirl going. It's going to cause them to kind of warp on you. So don't zigzag through. When you finish off your thread, just keep threading through all of this last row of beads. Go about, I say maybe 2 inches, and then you can just cut off your thread. That'll finish it off for you. But just keep going in the direction you're beading, so that spiral will continue to be that pretty little spiral. Then you're going to do it all over again, and you're going to do the front side of the lollipop. And once again, you're going to put in your 5 gold beads. But in order to zip the front to the back, because we got to have a front and a back to our lollipop, so when we put them together, and we're going to zip them together, okay? And we will talk about the zipping and the ruffle next meeting, but I'm just explaining to you why we have to have an extra row, because these beads have to be offset in order for them to mesh together like that, so that you can zip them together. So we need to put another row of beads on our front side. So what you want to do is, and this is, I show you a little diagram on page 10. You want to, your thread, after you add this last gold bead, your thread's going to be exiting in the next main color bead right here. Okay, so you just want to, now this one you're going to have to zigzag, so do it very slowly and very carefully, and don't pull on the thread so that you don't warp those beads. But you're just going to kind of work that thread back so you're exiting the last gold bead you added. Just a little, carry that little thread back. Okay, then round 31, you're going to put in some more, just continue that spiral around, but you're going to stop in this last, your last bead you're going to be putting on is a main bead. It's going to be right here. See if you guys can see that. Let me see if it would help if I put that right there. Anyway, the last bead you put on is going to be right here in this spot between these 2 main color beads. That's all right. Don't worry about that. That's what it's supposed to be. That's where it's supposed to be. So you'll have a little space before the gold beads begin again. That's going to be for the zip and the ruffle. That ruffle being, this cute little thing. We'll work that off of the gold beads. Okay, so and then we'll go over how to do the ruffle next week. I'm going to put these up, and now I'm going to show you guys a trick. I got threads everywhere. All right. Now, okay, starting them. So when I started this one, you're going to have a tail thread and a working thread. So this is my working thread. I keep going around with my working thread, adding beads. This is my tail thread that is attached to the center here because it was, yeah. Okay, so I left my tail thread attached to my spool. And the reason I did that is because now my thread is my working thread is too short and I can't keep adding beads, so I have to add a new thread. So now I can pull off a good arm's length worth of thread, you know, however much you're comfortable with working with. And then what I'm going to do, let me get a pointer. Okay, so I'm going to, my tail thread's coming out of the center. I'm going to kind of work it over, going in the direction that I'm beading, and I'm going to kind of work it over to the edge of my beading, the outside of the beading, and then I'll thread through these outer beads. And what that's going to do is set another thread in those beads and secure them. Then when I get over to my working thread, I'm going to just clip that off, and I'll have a big length of thread to keep beading with. And that's going to do two things. It's going to add more thread for you to work with, and it's going to finish off your tail thread. So you can do two things at once with that. So that's really a nice little time-saving tip. You don't have to do it. I'm just telling you, it makes it easier, and it also acts as a stopper bead if you leave it on your spooled thread. Okay, let's see. Did I cover everything that was on my lesson plan? Jeff, I do hope you hit record. And I think that was everything. So I'm going to open it up for questions. So you can stop recording the demo section and